Hey, good morning, guys. Jerry here with our New York Open analysis for October the 8th, 2019. So, let's take a look at what we've got. Not a lot, to be honest. I think you might have seen my post in chat earlier about no trades for me today. And we'll get into why in just a second, but let me refresh. Here we go. So, last night, we had not a whole lot really coming into today. We had a little weaker than expected Chinese data, which generally is slightly bearish for the Aussie. But then we also have these trade talks back and forth. And yesterday I mentioned I wasn't going to take any Aussie trades based on trade talks because of how fluid they are. And we saw a strong spike up in the Aussie when there was some talk about positive action in the trade talks. And then this morning we've seen it go down on news that the Chinese delegation is cutting their trip short by a day, and the person who's coming over to do the negotiations, it's not exactly clear if he's going to have the authority to actually agree on anything, and we'll get to that in just a second. But that just shows why I don't trade on new rumor, basically. Basically for the Aussie, for me to get excited about the Aussie in terms of trade right now, there's going to need to be an actual breakthrough. I mean, Trump's going to need to come out and say, we've reached a deal, or maybe even more than one U.S. official is going to need to come out and say we've reached a deal, because we know President Trump likes to tweet a lot, and some things he tweets are not always accurate or are a bit, that's what I'm looking for, boisterous. So it's going to take some pretty solid news on the trade front for me to be interested on the Aussie based on trade information. Let's see, coming down through here and this morning, nothing of significance here. And then we've got some U.S. data. It's PPI. It's not red flag even. It's orange events, which I don't really expect to move the market very much. Then we have Chairman Powell speaking again. This Westpac consumer sentiment data is sometimes a mover on the Aussie, but that's later tonight, so I'll just keep an eye on that. So really nothing today of significance that I would want to build a trade around. So let's look at zero hedge here. There's some interesting, I'm sitting like Ben, I'm sitting out on the pound until we see something firm happen. It's heating up a little bit. You notice here, EU Council President, this is maybe about an hour or less ago. EU Council President Tusk tweets to PM Johnson, "What's at stake is not winning some stupid blame game. At stake is the future of Europe and UK as well as security and interest of all people. You don't want a deal." So that doesn't sound very encouraging, which would be pound negative. Then EU Commission, before that, EU Commission notes that the EU position has not changed. They still want a deal. So the pound's gonna fly all around for the next couple of weeks, and at least the next week or two. So I'm just going to sit out on the penny pound trades. It's basically a crapshoot right now. I like to find trades that I can build around some good sentiment. That's likely to last at least for a session. Try to get some pips. And with the pound right now, it's up and down, but within the same session. So it's really a flip of the coin right now, and I don't like to build trades on the flip of the coin. So we'll see what happens there. So coming back to some of these comments here, nothing really. You see the New Zealand Finance Minister flagged a $4 billion budget surplus overshoot against target. That's not something I'm going to try to build a trade on. Had some mixed, so notice keyword mixed, Chinese PMIs, uptick in NAB confidence. That's not something that I want to try to build a trade around. We talked about the pound. No deal Brexit risk. Let's put the pound back on. But then we just talked about how that can change in the blink of an eye. These guys here, a little bit, an element of underlying safe haven demand, but that doesn't sound real strong. Yen and euro awaiting U.S.-China trade talks. So there's just really not a lot going on. And these are the days I mentioned in my comments where you really, if you're a new trader, or even traders like myself who traded for several years, you have to notice when you're looking to put on a trade only because you're wanting to trade, not because there's something there to actually back up the trade that you can have some conviction around. And so what happens is, maybe you're, like right now, maybe you're a week into the month. Maybe you're up some pips because you took a couple of good trades that were some strong conviction trades. And then now, days like yesterday and today, where there's nothing that's really jumping out, you get bored and you just want to trade. Hey, I'm up. I'm in front of my computer. I want to trade. The market owes me a trade. And you will take a low conviction trade and you'll get all those pips back. And then you're just really frustrated and angry. So don't do it. It's a good day to realize there's nothing there based on sentiment right now. Close your charts, do something else, read some good trading books on psychology. Just do something else. Unless you want to trade the actual squawk as news comes out, if you have a live feed, that's a different thing. But when you're looking at what's out right now and what's coming up for the day, that when there's nothing there, just don't force it. Don't give up those pips. Here's the China talk I mentioned earlier that was a bit negative. They're cutting their stay short by one night, and the Chinese negotiator says he will not carry the title of special envoy for the president, which the article says is an early indication that the vice premier has not been given a particular instruction from China's leader. So that's not sounding real positive for U.S.-China trade talks. So basically today, guys, there's nothing for me. Going to set it out, and we'll just wait to see what happens and take the good trades when they're there. I'll be in the room shortly and talk to you guys shortly. Thanks.